There are entities that exist that make an effort to contribute to one's health, as it relates to certain body functions and organ functions and things of that nature. However, there are also entities that contribute to how you look, your facial feature, your weight, your eyebrows, your skin, and things of that nature. Well, it's really, really important uh, if, in fact, one can find an entity or business that kind of deal with both of them, you know, how you feel and how you look. And so I thought it would not be robbery to have such an entity on our show today because, they kind of go hand in hand. Although there may not be anything you think uh, wrong with you physically, but then if you don't feel good about yourself, if there is some cosmetic, if you please, element attached to you, then you kind of become conscientious, and we all are. We all, that's why the cosmetic and the hair and the beauty industry uh, generate trillions of dollars a year. So I said, well, what I ought to do is have this company called Astre Wellness on the show because it kind of embraces both elements, how you feel and how you look. So I'm so happy today to have the founder of Astre Wellness in the person of Miss Tonya Millions Fitch. How you doing, Miss Tonya?
Good morning, Mr. Habersham. I'm doing well, and thank you so much for having me on your show today. It's such an honor to be here.
Well, it's an honor to have you. So let's come out the chute that we want to cover all of those elements as it relates to what Astre Wellness offers. So, but let's talk a little bit about yourself. There's the old song say, who you working with? So we want to know who we're working with.
Okay, so yes, I am Tonya Millions Fitch. I am the CEO and founder of Astre Wellness. A little bit about my personal background. I am married to Gerald Fitch. We've been married for 6 beautiful years. And I have been practicing anesthesia for almost 15 years now. And then about 5 years ago, I saw a need to do a little bit of a pivot with my career choice. My father was very ill. He fought in the Vietnam War and was suffering from PTSD and chronic pain and was getting worse. I would go visit my dad, and he'd just be in his bedroom crying, just from the war, those bad memories, and was going to the VA and was not getting any better. And so I had a conversation with my father. I said, Dad, I'm going to, pull away from anesthesia a little bit and research how I can help you in a holistic kind of way because I've always believed in holistic medicine and natural medicine. And I just started researching Mr. Habersham and found that people who are dehydrated and have poor nutrition, it will make PTSD and chronic pain worse. And those were the two things my father was suffering with. And this was during the height of COVID. There wasn't a place where my father could go and get IV fluids or nutrition via IV, except for the emergency room, but that was shut down. They were all shut down for COVID. And I was like, you know what? This is something that is needed. I said, Dad, if you need this, then other people in the community need it as well. So I'm just going to open a place where you can come to get some IV fluids, and other people in our community can go get IV fluids and nutrition via IV as well. And so that's how Astro Wellness was born. Astra means star in French. And so stars used to guide the slaves throughout slavery, used to guide the explorers. And my goal is to guide my community to health and wellness. So a lot of people always ask, well, how did you come up with that name? And so that's how it was born.
Oh, that's so outstanding. So let's talk a little bit. See, it's kind of news to me, and I guess I should have, you know, I mean, I really just learned recently that, you know, just for regular hydration, you know, and for vitamins and minerals and things of that nature, then you could do it through IV.
Yes, actually, it works a lot better through IV, and I'm going to tell you why. When we consume food through our mouths, right? The food has to go through a digestive process.
Right.
When you take vitamins by mouth, they have to go through a digestive process.
Now you did know you took a question out of my mouth because I was going to ask you, the relationship of taking vitamins as pills and IV. So go ahead.
Okay.
You just, you anticipating my questioning, but that's good. Go ahead.
Yeah, so if your gut is healthy, by the time those vitamins, the food and everything, by the time they get to your liver to get metabolized, you're only absorbing 30 to 40%. That's why a lot of times you can take vitamins and you still don't feel well. But have you ever noticed when you go to the hospital and you get IV fluids, if you have to go for whatever reason in the ER, and you feel so much better afterwards? That is because by bypassing your digestive tract, going directly intravenously through your veins, you're absorbing 100% of what your body is deficient in. And that is why people feel better almost immediately. So, that is the difference between taking supplements by mouth as opposed to getting them via IV.
Okay, now so uh talk a little bit more about the different kinds of IV or the different products that one would, get from an IV perspective and the different scenarios wherein one maybe need to think about, IV rather than uh pills or supplements.
Okay,
Okay,
sure.
then I got another question. I hope you can remember this because
Okay.
I want to ask you if a person is taking like a prescribed medication,
Mhm.
is there an IV process for that prescribed medication like Crestor, something like of that nature? I mean, that I just became curious about that when you started talking.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so the first question you were asking me about were the different IVs. You're asking about the different IVs that I offer. My IVs are customized. So what happens is oftentimes people will come in and they'll tell me what their symptoms are, and then I customize IVs according to their symptoms. For instance, back I was speaking to you about COVID. So I have an IV that treats different viruses, including COVID, cold, flu, things like that. And what it does is it'll have zinc. Zinc is really important to boost your immune system, right? It also helps with gut health. Zinc is really important for hair, skin, and nails. It facilitates healing. And I also add high dose vitamin C, which will also increase your immune system. And then I'll put B vitamins in it for energy. So that's how normally the process works is you tell me what the issue is, and then I'll come up with a customized IV according to your symptoms. I have IVs not only for viruses, but people who are just generally dehydrated. Oftentimes, especially during the summertime, if you work outside, then there's a lot of sweating that goes on. And so my IVs will rehydrate the person and then also increase those vitamins that they're losing through their skin from the sweating. If there's someone with an upset stomach or they're struggling with their hair, skin, and nails, I have IVs for those. People who are on a weight loss journey, I have IVs to speed up their metabolism and help them burn fat. So that's generally how it is. Whatever your issue is, then I will come up with an IV customized infusion to help with those symptoms that they're having.
Wow, that's so good to know. Now, distinguish, if you would, between the IV and a shot.
Yes, so a shot is given in the muscle. That's called an intramuscular injection. It's just when you go in and they might give you a shot in your arm or a shot, on your backside. That's a shot. And IV actually goes, IV stands for intravenous. So it'll go through your vein, and
directly into your blood system.
that is it, directly into your blood system. So
Wow.
that is the difference in a shot or an injection and an IV.
Well, we're going to get back to the medicinal element.
Okay.
Look at me using that big medicinal,
I hear
like
you. I hear you. I hear you. Speaking that jargon, yes.
uh get back. No, no, I'm gonna ask you another question.
Okay.
So talk a little bit more about your background because people are gonna say, well, she talking about all this. How does she know? I mean, what qualifies her? What kind of credentials does she have to be giving me these shots? So talk a little bit, not necessarily your medical background, but the certification and the research, you know, that would have to go into providing this service.
Yeah, so the services I provide, I just didn't pull them out of thin air, of course. I graduated from the med school at Mercer back in 2011 with my anesthesia degree. And while I was in med school, the things that I'm talking to you about, we just weren't taught those things. We were not taught about holistic medicine or naturopathic medicine or any of those things. The main focus was on traditional or conventional, I'm sorry, medication. So I had to venture out on my own and educate myself in other ways. I have gone through extensive training. I fly out to Dallas, Texas. I've gone out to Dallas, different places, Charlotte, North Carolina. I have aligned myself with a bunch of functional medicine physicians. I actually have a functional medicine mentor in Atlanta who has mentored me on these different things. Functional medicine, I would love to talk to you about the difference in functional medicine and conventional medicine, and that way you'll understand what I mean. Conventional medicine uses prescription drugs, pharmaceutical medications, um, and they just kind of, what I like to say, put a band-aid on issues, like put a band-aid on your symptoms and just treat those. Functional medicine means getting to the root cause of what a person's problem is. So once you get to the root cause of it, then you're going back to the beginning and treating it that way instead of just putting a band-aid on something to treat those symptoms, if that makes any sense.
It
So
does.
that is the difference in functional medicine and conventional medicine. Functional medicine is getting to the root cause and not waiting for a disease process to progress or a symptom to progress into a disease. Functional medicine is attacking it right there at the root cause so that it does not progress into a disease process. And then treating it with natural things like supplements, dietary changes, IV fluids, things like that.
Okay, so when a person needs certain vitamins and what have you, what's the process of acquiring? Say for example, if a person is deficient in certain areas, based on a person's symptoms, there are certain products that you would give that person to address those. Where they come from?
Oh, I love this. Okay, for instance, I would love to give you an example. If I have someone and they said they'll come into my office and we'll do a consultation and they'll say, Tonya, I have brain fog, fatigue, low energy. I'm losing my hair. I'm depressed. I have no energy. I have no get up and go. My stamina is low. I'm constipated. Instead of like just writing a prescription, I'm going to draw a 26 panel lab exam. And one of the things I'm going to test for is a vitamin D level because throughout my training, I know that when your vitamin D level is sub-optimized, not just normal, but sub-optimized, then I know that that can cause brain fog and fatigue and depression. It can cause dementia, Alzheimer's, low energy, osteoporosis, things like that. So I'll test for a vitamin D level. Now, when you go and get your labs drawn, the lab core value of a normal vitamin D level is 30 to 100. To have a vitamin D level of 30 is like passing your class with a C minus. You're passing, but you're just getting by. To optimize, your vitamin D level, that means it needs to be about 80 to 100, and that means passing your class with an A plus. So that means you'll be excelling with your vitamin D level instead of just getting by. And so that's why I do labs. I test for your zinc level. I test for vitamin B12, which is so important for energy and red blood cell formation. And a lot of times people's B12 level is sub-optimized, an optimized vitamin B12 level is 1500, but normal value is 600. So there's a big difference in 600 and 1500.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
So so you're essentially saying that although you might take a vitamin D supplement in a pill form, there is a way to transform that same chemical makeup into a liquid form?
Absolutely. So, yes, a lot of times people
It's a
are,
good question, isn't
yes, you're having, I love your questions. Yes,
it?
I love them.
Uh,
When people take vitamin D3, which is better absorbed than the D2, D3, you have to take vitamin K2 with it. The vitamin K2 is the navigator or the Siri for the D3. What it does is it binds with that D3 and actually pulls it into the cell. That's why a lot of times people are taking vitamin D and their level never goes up. It's because it's not being properly absorbed. You have to have vitamin K2 with it in order for it to get properly absorbed. Now, that's when you take it by mouth. When you take it in a shot form, an injection into your muscle, then that will also get your level up a lot quicker. And the standard dosage of a vitamin D3 is 5,000 to 10,000 international units per day. If you're not taking 5 to 10,000 per day with the K2, then your level is not gonna increase up to that optimized number like I was telling you about, 80 to 100.
well, do you have to, when it's intravenously, does one have to take it intravenously every day?
That's another great question. So the vitamin D won't be intravenously. It won't go through your vein. It'll go into the muscle. The reason why is because it's oil based when you get it intramuscularly. If you get it through the muscle, then it's oil based, and you can't put in oil through your vein, or else that can cause a pulmonary embolism. Another point is when you get it intramuscularly, then I give you 50,000 international units, and that is how much, the average amount that people take per week. So that will only be a once a week injection. You'll only have to take it that one time per
When-
week, per week,
Per week. But
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Per week.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that about per week.
Yeah.
So that let me ask you this. So I mean, just to be brutally honest with you, this almost sounds like a MD, you know, like a medical doctor, and I'm just making the observation based on, what the audience may be saying. Um, but talk about your study as an
Okay.
is it anesthesiologist or anesthetist?
Okay, great question. So let me put this out there. I'm not an MD by any stretch of the imagination, but I do have a collaborating physician who helps me with my practice. And so, yeah, so I am at what's called an advanced practice registered nurse. I am a certified registered nurse anesthetist or anesthesiologist. Our organization has changed our name. And like I mentioned before, I've been in the medical field for, oh, I'm about to age myself here, but well over 25
That's
years.
that's a long time,
A long time. Yes, a long time. That's right. Um, so yeah,
but
so
you are a RN.
yes, advanced practice registered nurse. That's exactly
Okay,
what I
yeah,
am.
yeah. Well, that
Absolutely.
that answers the question. I
Yes.
think that. Okay, okay now. So now we healthy. How can we become more good looking? You know what I'm saying? More attractive.
Mhm.
So talk a little bit about the cosmetic elements of the services that you provide.
Sure. Okay, so first of all, the way I run my practice is if we're taking our care of ourselves from the inside, the outside is going to reflect that. The inside has to be well taken care of first. So when we get our inside straightened out, then the outside is going to reflect that. So that's why I always harbor on making sure that we're optimized with our vitamins, our diet. I have a medically supervised weight loss program that I have here, and it's very, very, very successful. When we're dehydrated, of course, then that will create things like wrinkles.
How do you tell when you're dehydrated?
If your mouth is ever dry, you're dehydrated.
Okay.
That's one of the first signs. Dehydration can cause low energy, fatigue, brain fog, constipation, pimples in your skin, hair loss, all those things.
Okay.
Dehydration can cause all of those. Decrease your immune system, decrease your metabolism. So pretty much, if we're not drinking around 3 liters of water per day, we are guaranteed to be dehydrated. Most Americans are. We're not drinking the water like we should. So that's one of the first things that I
So
strive.
if I drink two 12-ounce uh bottles of water, that ain't enough.
That is not enough. No, that's only 24 ounces. No, that won't be enough. Mm-mm.
Wow,
No,
wow.
no, that's right. So yeah, so that's what first of all, I work on the inside to get my clients inside taken care of. And then beyond that, we offer things like Botox and filler to help with the outside. We have a lymphatic drainage device, believe it or not, that decreases inflammation. And so inflammation can also uh, age us prematurely as well. So if we focus a lot on anti-inflammatory things here at Astra Wellness.
Oh, wow, wow. Well, I saw you had other things and you mentioned it, and I guess, when you take care of the inside, that will also address some of the other things, like problem with your nails and your hair and your
Mhm.
skin. But
Yeah.
just as an aside, talk a little bit about in more detail about the cosmetic effect, if you please, uh,
Yes.
being more well on. I started to say weller. I don't know what that was. Being more well on the inside.
Yeah, so a lot of the other cosmetic things that we offer here, like I mentioned before, is Botox. A lot of people are afraid of Botox, but there's nothing wrong with it. They'll say, "Oh, well, you don't have any wrinkles. That's because, the Botox works well to prevent wrinkles." We don't want to just wait. Remember, I talked to you before when we first started about let's not wait for something to progressively happen. Let's prevent it from happening. And so what Botox does is it prevents wrinkles. We don't want to wait until we have what's called static wrinkles. You see some people and they have those lines already in their foreheads and they're not even frowning. Those are called static wrinkles. They're very difficult to treat once they start. So Botox helps to prevent those things from forming in the first place. When it comes to, we have a massage therapist here. That's really important for relaxation and self-care. When we take care of ourselves, and that's very anti-aging as well. When it comes to our hair, um, different vitamins like zinc is very, very important for that. B12, biotin. I have something called a beauty blend that I give to people. We do something called radio frequency microneedling. What that does is it creates mechanical injury and injury to the skin, and then that helps to build collagen and elastin, which will help to prevent or treat wrinkles and loose skin. So those are some things we have. We do chemical peels to help with hyperpigmentation, and that also helps to prevent helps with wrinkles, fine lines and wrinkles. And then Astra Wellness, we also have our own skincare line, medical grade skincare products, which are a lot better than the skincare products that you get at CVS or Ulta or Sephora, places like that, because those things just sit on the top layer of your skin. And what we want to do is use a really good quality medical grade skincare product that will get down to that dermal layer and treat you from the inside out so that we can prevent things like fine lines and wrinkles, dry skin, hyperpigmentation, and things like that.
Wow, that is absolutely phenomenal. Well, what's the process? I mean, I guess if a person is just wondering, whether or not they need your services, is there like a diagnostic process where they can say, hey, check me out, what do I need, make me feel better and look better, So would there be a mechanism for a person, to get those questions answered?
Yeah, so I'm so happy you asked that question. Yeah, so pretty much everyone needs our services, and let me tell you why. It's because most people are suffering with brain fog, fatigue, low energy, low sex drive, and things like that. So one of the things we do is address hormones for men and women. So they would just call into our office, speak to my practice manager. She'll set them up for an appointment, a consultation. When they come in, we'll do like an hour and a half long consultation, send them off for labs, and then those labs will serve as a guide so that I'm not shooting in the dark. It'll direct me into the proper care of
And you
each
draw
and every.
blood for the lab.
Yes, we
Okay.
draw, we draw,
Okay.
we draw blood.
Okay. All right.
Oh, my number, 478-200-7575. That is the
Okay.
number to the office, or they can find us on the web at at www.astrewellness.com, ASTRE wellness.com.
And then go ahead and give your email since you started
And the
to.
email is info at astrewellness.com, or you can follow me on social media, Astra Wellness on Instagram and Facebook.
Oh, well, outstanding. Well, let me thank you and congratulate you. And let me thank myself, for for getting knowledge. Knowledge is so important, and understanding and health are so important because, a lot of illnesses, I've had relatives to die because of the lack of treatment or the lack of diagnosis or the lack of knowledge. So it's very important because we want everybody to live a long and healthy life and continue to look 25, continue to look like you like Tonya look like she started her business at 1 year old.
Yes,
Since,
it's because of Astra Wellness.
since she's been in business, what you said, 25 years?
25 years, yes.
Congratulations on that too. So we're just so happy, and I'm so pleased to be able to provide this information because that's what we are about, just making a difference in the community and things of that nature.
Well,
This
thank
is
you.
a call to action. I'm your host, Alex C. Havisham, having interviewed Miss Tonya Millions Fitch, CEO, founder of Astre Wellness. Give that website one more time.
The website is www.astrewellness.com, ASTRE wellness.com.
You can find out all you need to know on that website. And, I hope that this conversation has pricked your conscientiousness as it relates to the importance of resources that contribute to how we feel and how we look. Have a great day.
www.makingblackpages.com